Paper 2, May 2017. This is the higher level paper I'll be going through, but this first video will include the common questions, both higher level and standard level. So all in this video, it's exactly the same, or was exactly the same, May 2017, for higher level and standard level. So the first thing, remember that when you get your booklet, that you've got to go all the way to the end and find page 13 to 16 in this case for the options. You're going to go all the way down, flip to the back of the paper, and then go back until you find the beginning of option D, our option. That's where it begins. Page 13. Looking at the clock, 30, so 5 minutes of reading time. What am I going to do? I'm going to read, but if I immediately take a look at this, I'm like, this isn't the program. I'm kind of used to having a program showing here. Where's the program? Okay, there it is. But okay, what the heck? I'll probably read through this anyway. It's a good idea to read through this anyway, so it sets up what's going to come after it. So a large company with locations in different cities has taken an object-oriented programming approach to creating an administration program that manages all aspects of its business. These aspects include the sale of all of the different products that the company manages. Okay, the salaries for managers, office staff, salesperson. Already I'm starting to think object-oriented programming. I'm starting to think, salaries for this group and that group and that group. Looks like inheritance. And then sales, that's just going to be like a sales class, I guess. Maybe arrays of sales. By making use of examples from the scenario above, distinguish between the classes. Okay, I can do that when I get back after reading time. Different modules of programming. Similar but different. That's probably going to be inheritance. There it is. I got a question on inheritance. That doesn't help me. And again, I'm in my reading time, so I want to take advantage of it. And okay, come back, do this later. Describe how to use libraries. Yeah, okay, that standard kind of question. So that really didn't tell me a whole lot, frankly, about what's following, but I've got enough of a handle a couple minutes in or a minute in to take a look at this. So, the company employs several sales personnel to sell its products to different retailers. Each branch of the company keeps track of its own sales with a suite of programs that includes two classes. Okay, classes are salesperson and sales. All right, so salesperson. And again, as I went into a lot of details about the first video, you really got to soak up and understand the situation as much as you can. You've got 80 minutes, 65 marks. Not that many questions in this paper 2. You've got to take your time. Take your time to understand. So what do we got? Template class. Ooh, aggregation. Ding, 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 ding already. Because sales is the other class. So where is sales? Do they give us sales, or are we going to have to make sales? They give it to us. Not a whole lot there, but okay, let me just look at the sales. A sales, well, that's dumb. It should be sale. Class sale. A sale has, a particular sale has an item ID, value, and a quantity. Okay, get. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. That, again, I don't like the name at all, but sale. Okay, so then we're going to probably have an array of sales, right? So sales is an array of sale objects. Count is probably going to be used to keep track of how many of these we filled up at any given point. Salesperson constructor, another salesperson constructor, ding, ding, ding. Overloaded constructors, polymorphism, probably ask about that. Get sets, all in one line, again, but I think it's okay, you can handle that. We did it on 3 lines, they're doing it on 1. Sales history, set sales history. Okay, I kind of get this already, that the count starts at 0, so my sales history is going to keep on getting these sale objects, these sales objects. The count goes up, count plus plus is what we would have done. Okay, how am I doing for time? I'm still a couple of minutes, I think, left in reading time. Count total sales. Count total sales. I'll have an array of sales. So go through it, add them up. Largest sales. Look for the largest one. Okay, fairly straightforward. I hope I get asked to do one of those or both. So no questions, but I still probably, I'm going to go, I think I'd probably start at 5:31 with this. So another 2 minutes, minute and a half. Complete the constructor. Okay, I can do that. Explain why accessor methods. Okay, that's it. Okay, I don't need to think about that right now. Get back to it. Any other code I can look at during reading time? Yes, this. So I already looked at this, and I'm okay with it. And then there's a main class. Various methods. Salespeople array. Okay. Saying there's 6 of them. And 0 gets new salesperson, new salesperson, new sales. Okay, so it's a little bit cheating for me doing this when I'm recording this video because I've looked at the paper test just beforehand, so I kind of got it. But I think even at 5 minutes, you can see that salespeople is an array of these salespersons, right? Salesperson array. So you keep on adding a new salesperson. You're sending one thing to the constructor. Probably running out of time here right now. So there's a constructor that takes in one yes. So it sets up. And you know, at this point, even if ding, 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 the teacher, the proctor says, okay, you can start. If I'm in the middle of trying to figure out this, and I am, I'm going to keep on trying to figure it out. Okay, people might look left and right at me and see that I'm still reading and not writing. But no, this is what I got to do. Deep breath. In the middle of trying to figure this out, let's figure it out. Because we might need to know what's here back there. I don't think so in this case, but quite often over the first 3 or 4 pages, you're going to have 2 or 3 programs and they all interact. So you got to kind of get your head around the whole thing. So let's just keep on with this, even though, yeah, we're totally into writing time now. So new salesperson, new salesperson, new salesperson. And then each of these, no, this is the 0th, which we already made. And then we're setting sales history. What the heck is that? Takes a new sales history. Sales history void set. Right, this is the one where we saw, right, it just keeps track of as we're going through the 0 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 of the sales. So this is where the overall thing is kind of crystallizing with me right now, is that it's another one of these things where we have an array of an array. We have an array of salespeople, but each one of those salespeople has an array of sales. So let me go the 3rd level into the sale. Okay, I see how this is working now. So an array of salespeople, and each one of the salespeople has an array of sales. So here we're setting a new sales, a couple for the 0 and then one for the 1. And we're printing, asking me for output. So, okay, my brain's kind of full at this point, just trying to get all this in. And okay, companies, salespeople, sales. Okay, I think I'm ready to go start this. And maybe not, maybe you need to take a little bit more time to get your head around everything, and that's perfectly fine. But assuming you're ready to go on, here we go. Take out the pencil, read this again. Never going to hurt to just soak this up one more time. Company, sales of products, salary. Did I see anything about salaries? I didn't see anything about salaries. So I'm going to look down one more time. Did I miss a salaries class? Anything about salaries? Didn't look on past here. No. Okay, so maybe that's not used. A, by making use of an example from, maybe this is where I could use this as an example here. So let me just go. Making use of an example from the scenario above, distinguish between a class and an instantiation of a class, or an instance of a class. 3 marks. And here, again, I'm not just doing the exam here. I'm showing you stuff to think about. Here I'm thinking low-hanging fruit, low-hanging fruit, low-hanging fruit. I got 7, I got 10 right here, 10 of 65 marks. Looks like this is non-programming, so let's do a good job with this. Distinguish between a class and an instantiation of a class. Well, a class is the template, and it has attributes and methods that act upon those attributes. And the instantiation of the class is an instance of the class. It's a specific one of them. So using as an example, I mean, I could use this, I suppose. So I could say, how's that even going to work? Nah, I'm going to stick with it. This is much easier because here I'm just going to have an array of products, right? So I'll say that product is a likely, class, and we could have instances of product, which would be specific products that the company sells. For example, shampoo and soap and toothpaste. That would be my answer. And as I did the last time, I'll go back to remember all this stuff. You might want to freeze it and read through these important points. I probably won't linger on them as much this second time through. So there you go, 13a. Okay, it's a good answer. Next. Remember that this, if it's sticking out on its own, probably doesn't go with the last question, probably as a preface to the next question. The different modules in the program each open up a graphical user interface, GUI. We're certainly used to that. Each GUI has a similar design, but contains different specifics to each module. Okay. By giving two examples, explain how the principles of inheritance can be inherited. So this is your question about inheritance. Incorporated into the design of the administration program. Well, they just talked about GUI. So here's one of a couple of times when I went over this ahead of time and I looked at the answer key, and I'm like, might not have got it. So I'll just tell you right now, what they're looking for is not just this. And the key is the following. They say two examples, blah, 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 in this program. So for 4 marks, they're not just asking about GUI, because what are you going to say about the GUI? You're going to say, well, we have one superclass, which is for all the GUIs, and it has text boxes and labels and tables and so on. And then we have different subclasses which inherit all those GUI elements. So we can make a GUI for, what does it say? Not really, for a manager, and a GUI for a staff, and a GUI for a sales, right? Pretty good answer, but it's not probably 4 marks. They say in the design of this administration program. So they're also looking for us, and that's why they probably went back, right, when they were passing this around to their buddies and getting them to look at it, and probably a bunch of them got it wrong. So they're like, no, we meaning 2 examples. You just gave us the GUI example. Well, I gave you 2 GUI examples. No. 2 examples in this whole administration program. So another example from up here, like, here's where this comes in handy, right? We say maybe there's a personnel superclass, and then there's sales personnel and office, or maybe not personnel. Maybe I'll pick something else like just employee. So employee could be a superclass, and by the way, we're still well within, right? That's 10 minutes for these 2 questions. Well within it. So back up here to my humming and hawing that I've decided now I'm going to call the superclass, as an example, employee, and the subclass for a manager, another subclass for office staff, and subclass for personnel, and they will each use common attributes from the superclass, but they'll each have their own implementations of different things and possibly additional attributes. So that's a very, 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 very full answer, more full than you need to get your full points probably. And I'll let you freeze this like you did before the video, freeze it and take a look through what I've written there for B. It should be pretty much the same as everything that I've already said. C. Describe how the use of libraries, this is the libraries class, how the use of libraries can facilitate the development of programs like this company. That's pretty well directly an assessment statement right there, right? And so our kind of canned answer for this, 3 marks, was libraries are pre-programmed bunches of code, classes of code that we can use. And in doing so, what does it ask us? Describe the use of them. And so by using them, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we can know that they're reliable, they've probably been tested, and we can simply make use of them. And you have to be careful with the answer, right? It's not saying what are the advantages necessarily, it's just saying how, right, how the use of libraries can facilitate the development. They facilitate because they're already done, they work, they've been tested, we can just, through dot notation, make use of the functions that they give available to us. And that's the first time in this video of exam preparation that I've really focusing in on the question, right? You really have to focus in on the question. I probably read through those too quickly, in fact, as I was recording this a while ago, but let's take a look, and you can pause this and read through it. And I got a couple of other things here too, which I'm not even sure, like saves time and money. Not asking about advantages, not asking about saves time and money, right? Well, I mean, saves time, I guess, but you should focus in on how it facilitates. Libraries, not so much what they are, not so much their advantages, a little bit about what they are, a little bit what their advantages are, but focusing in on the question, how it facilitates the development of programs. Still more low-hanging fruit. Let's just see. I'm just curious. Like, that's what I'm thinking right now. I just got the 10 points. No, but that doesn't look that bad. So let's hope we can get 15 marks in here and still be cruising. The company employs, and by the way, it's 65 marks. I just thought of that. 65 marks for higher level, and it's less for standard level, right? Company employs several sales personnel. I read this quickly before, and I'll slow down. To sell its products to different retailers. Hopefully you know what retailers are. If not, you can figure it out. Retailers, I can tell you right now, is the actual stores, not the big wholesale distributors, but the stores. To sell its products to stores. Each branch of the company keeps track of its own sales with a suite of programs that includes 2 classes. Keeping track of sales. Salesperson and sales. Again, I don't like the plural of that. Right? We don't call this salespersons, do we? Anyway. So here it is, salesperson. Each particular object will have an ID, and here's the funky part, right? An array of sales. And frankly, I'm thinking to myself, I did a pretty good job at looking through this in the reading time. But I gotta listen to my own best advice. Slow down, soak this up. One constructor. Second constructor takes all 3 things. Let's see. I don't even know what. Well, I better read this more closely. Constructor for a salesperson transferred together with their sales data from another branch. Ah, that's why. Right? Because this new salesperson is not going to start at 0 sales. Right? They're going to be in the middle of some sales which get transferred, including the C, which will be the count. So if we're asked to make this, count will have to be assigned C. And I guess just the sales history of this will have to be assigned the new one, S. Well, we'll see if we're asked to make that. Get count on one line. Get ID on one line. Straightforward. Set sales history. Right, this is the one where got the sales history, bring in a new sales, and it gets put at the count, which would start at 0 if it was the first one, so that makes sense, but then the count has to go up by 1. And really, at this point, if you're tempted to fast forward and think, no, I just want to get to the answers, I just want to get to the questions, both for this video and for the real thing, no. I've done this enough that I know you really have to get your head around. You just can't kind of dip in and try to answer a particular question from a particular piece. And it seems like, oh, but I'm wasting time. No, you're not. To write out the amount of answers that you got would take you 10 minutes. On the whole, you can write out the whole, just write them out. The figuring it out is what takes the time. That's what we're doing. Yeah, we looked at these before. Calc total sales. Okay, maybe they'll ask us to do it. It shouldn't be that bad. Largest sales shouldn't be that bad. And I don't know if I need to know much more about, well, I'm going to take a peek one more before I even look at the question about sales. Sale, just remember that that's a particular individual sale that the salesperson will have a bunch of. Right. Okay, I'm ready. Each instance variable is initialized when the salesperson object is instantiated. Yes, that makes sense. Complete the constructor public salesperson ID. That seems terribly easy. What will we, that's, anyway, let's see. Salesperson. Code missing. Brings in the ID. Doesn't bring an account. Counts already. So, and I will do what I didn't start doing last time. I will actually code this. I think I got something blank here, don't I? All right. So well, first of all, I'm definitely going to see this ID is assigned ID, right? So let's just do that. This dot ID is assigned ID. And it said, that's the kind of the little tricky part, is that it did say each instance variable is initialized. So we have to do something with the sales history. So we're going to go, and it's not sent in, sales history. Well, we're going to have to give it as assign a new sales 100. I don't know where we're supposed to get the number for that, but it's an array. We have to give it a number to finish off. And I guess that's going to have to do it. And then in terms of the count, no need to do it because the count will be 0. So there's your answer. And I guess we'll look here. And can I get this thing again? Jeez. There it is. Basically, I mean, the only thing you're really, well, no, you got doing both of these things. And I just note here that the count's already initialized above, so you don't have to do anything with it. Okay, that's it. Is that 3 minutes? No. But explain why, so this is not coding, explain why accessor methods are necessary for the salesperson class. Well, this is object-oriented programming. Why do we have accessor methods? We have accessor methods, the gets, because we can't directly access attributes from outside of a given class. And this is important. We want it that way. We want to protect the integrity of our attributes, so we make them private. So put that all into 1 sentence and a half. With object-oriented programming, let me give you the perfect answer here. Explain why. With object-oriented programming, we want to protect the attributes of template classes, and so we make them private. That means that the only way to access them is through public accessor methods, in which we can control how those attributes are accessed and used. And I don't know if I said it any better here, but you can pause and read through it. And look, I get CML coming up. We knew it was coming. UML. So select the UML to me too. That's more easy stuff. Easy-ish if you know what to do. Do we finish that? Yep. So here's that class sales. There's not much to look at here. It's got these 3 things. So I'm ready. UML question 4 marks. Construct a diagram UML to clearly show the relationship, okay, between salesperson and sales. And we saw that immediately. But what's this? There's no need to include mutator and accessor methods over a constructor. Geez, that's half of the UML. All I want to do is to just show the relation, an arrow basically. And I guess the attributes. Yeah, because we noticed within the first minute probably of looking at the code, that sure enough, class salesperson has, there's the word we're looking for, an array of sales. So when we draw our UML, and I'm not going to go to Photoshop and draw this. I'm just going to go to the mark answer scheme, answer key. This is it. No need for mutators or accessors or constructors. And in fact, I didn't put anything here, but these are the accessors, right? So I didn't even need these, in fact. All I needed was, the rectangles, basically, the class names, the arrow has a, salesperson has a, and you'd have to do, so I guess there's enough there for 4 marks, I guess, because mine is for private, the 3 of them, this is sales, let's do sales because it's there, sales, ID item, colon, of type string, value of type double, quantity of type, and I guess one thing to look at here would be this one. This is the one that's a little bit funky, and people have different ways of showing arrays, but this is the way that we showed it. The array name is sales history. It is of type sales. We show that it's an array. We do ISB, the way that I've done it, and lots of other people do, with 0, : 100. Yeah. So go back, take a look at UML. I've noticed in this that I've done the UML a different way in terms of returning stuff. We didn't need this, but just review the UML on your own. But the other way of doing UML for return values is to just go the name of it, : the return type, which is double, right? So there's an alternative way there too. And they'll take anything that's pretty standard, and everything that's in the notes and what we've looked at before, including this, is standard. So there are variations. And you see the variation, different variations of different mark schemes, in fact. Anyway, for 4 marks, from there up, plus that and the arrow, you get your 4 marks. So get your UML ready. Where are we? C2. Outline a negative effect that a future change. I always like these negative questions. I find it funny why, but in fact, that the future change in the design of sales object might have in the suite of programs. Negative effect, future change in the design of the sales object. Well, what's the negative effect on the programs, the suite of programs, is that sales is used in other classes, or at least in one other class. So this is a dependency. This is a dependency situation. And so if we change something about this, then we have to consider its effect on, well, whatever it is, on salesperson. It might not change anything, or we might not need to change anything here, but we might, one way or another, when there's a dependency between different classes, we have to keep that in mind, that changing the one that affects the other may affect the other. So that was a whole lot of kind of babble, so let me give you a good answer. One negative effect of changing sales is that salesperson has a dependency on it. So the salesperson class may have to be edited to reflect the changes in sales, comma, or semicolon. Therefore, 2 classes will have to be edited, not just one. Something like that. Dependency. There are issues with dependencies, and that's a good thing to say, actually. That's why we like to keep dependencies to a minimum. We want to decompose, right? I don't want to teach this again. We want to decompose and have several different classes, but we don't want to have too many different classes because of the dependencies between them. And I feel like taking a stretch at this point. I don't know how many minutes we're in, about half an hour in. And you want to do the same thing. So that's another thing. Do a great big yawn in the middle of your exam. People look at you and think that you're cool. So, all right, that was good enough. The company employs several sales personnel. The different salesperson objects are held in the array salespeople. So now there's an array of salespeople. The main class contains various methods that operate on the salesperson and sales classes. I don't know what that means other than duh. The array salespeople is declared globally. Here it is. The main class contains the following code. Well, actually, having looked at this before, right, this is going to be asking us for output. And people get these wrong. These always seem like they're, in a way, straightforward and easy, but they're not. And this one's probably no different. So take your time. 4 minutes times 1.3, so we got 5 minutes. Don't just, when you got 4 print lines, you can probably get ID must be 100. Get count must be, yeah. I mean, I could probably guess my way through that and do all right, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep track of it. And I'm not gonna go to Photoshop or Illustrator. I'm just gonna try to do it here. So, but you're gonna have your pencil and paper and be able to do it. So, all right. 3 salespeople, and let's just go through this. Salesperson takes 100. So salesperson is the constructor. String ID. So it's their ID. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. Easier for you to flip back and forth at different pages, by the way, than me to scroll up and down. So good. We got the 3, and those are their IDs. Then 0, which is this one, set salary, set sales history. Set sales history, new sales. It's sending 3 things. So I better take a look at the constructor for sales first. Is it right here? It's not right here, but it's missing, but you get it. So that's the ID. That's the value. Ooh, let's not forget this. I might have forgotten that quantity. We're going to have to do some multiplication, looks like. So then we take that sales, which is these 3 things, and we set it as a history. So let's take a look at the set sales history. It takes in the sales. Right, it just puts it in the array of sales history, and it increments the count. 0, 1, 2, 3. So the count ends up being ready for the next one. That may be important. Yeah, because I see a get count here. Do I feel ready to start this? And then, so 2 sales for this employee, this salesperson, and then 1 sale for this guy or gal. So here we go. I don't even know if I need to write anything down or not. I'm just going to try it. Try it in my head. But I would definitely mark down on paper. Can I? Is there like a little... I don't want to take all your time here, but there's probably a way for me to draw on this. How about this? Nah. Okay, so forget that. Sorry about that. Now, how do I get rid of this? All right, I'm not going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave it. Sorry. State the output. First one, salespeople 2. This one. Get ID. I'm confident that's what it is. 102. That's the ID. Next one, salespeople 0. Get count. Salespeople 0. Get count. From looking up above, I saw every time there's a new sale that the count went up by 1. Right? So if I've done this twice, and count started at 0, it's going to go up to 1, the first time up to 2. 2. Pretty confident about 2 as well. Okay, and then 1, which is this guy, get sales history 0. Get sales history. Well, I better take a look at what get sales get. So what does get sales history take? Get sales history. There's set sales history. Get sales. There is no get sales history. There's no get sales history. Well, that's unfortunate, but on the other hand, the sales history, right? It's working with the array and 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's not. I guess that we just have to kind of assume that this works the way that it looks like it works. That this number 1 only has 1 sales history, right? This one. So get the value of it. So get the value of this. And there's the ID. And there was the value. So there's your answer. No. Hold on. Yeah, that's the answer. 2550.4. Get the value of it. Right? One, and you guys are probably shaking your head thinking, I can't believe he doesn't get this already. But I've done enough of these to know that you need to second guess yourself. You need to take your time to make sure you get it right. And I think I am right. So the 0th sales history of number 1 is the only one that it's got, and the value is the value. Okay. Then back to 0 again. Calc total sales. Calc total sales. Okay, it's not done. But calculate total sales for the salesperson. So there's 0, so 300, and the next sale was 1,000. So 1,300 is wrong because you probably saw it, but if you didn't, total sales would have to include the number of the sale, right? I sold toothpaste for 30 baht, but I sold 100 of them, right? So 30 times 100. So the answer is going to be, a lot of words to get you through this, sorry, but the answer is going to be 3,000 plus 2,000, 5,000. They're both 0, 2 sales, 5,000. Let's see if I got all those right. There they are, 102, 2, right? So we said that was, yeah, we got them at 5,000. Got it. Okay. Sorry if your head's spinning after that. E, construct the method calc total sales. We were hoping for this, weren't we? Calc total sales, and the salesperson calculates total value of sales specific person. So let's take a look at calc total sales. Right, we just used this, but now we gotta code it. 5 marks always kind of makes me wonder, gee, is there really that much to it? It doesn't seem like it, really. Anyway, it is what it is, so let's go. Calculate total sales. Let me go up here. Just help me. Well, we have the array, and each sale is going to have a value and a quantity. So the algorithm should be to go through the array of sales, so loop through that, and keep on adding to a total the element dot get price, whatever it was, times element dot get number sold, something like that. Okay, I think I'm ready to go. So, and we're returning a double, so we got to return it at the end, the total. Count total sales. Okay, before I forget, I'm going to do the return. Well, it'd be total probably. And we're going to start before the loop with a sales. Are we talking doubles? Are we talking, what are we talking here? Double. So, right, double, right, of course, yeah, okay, sorry, okay. Double total starts at 0. Gonna loop through the, it's an array, right, 4. What happened to my 0? Less than the array dot length, I could, and it would be fine, but better to use count. So better to use count, more efficient to use count. I less than count. I plus plus. Okay, total. Here's where they don't want to see this. I don't think I've mentioned this enough. They don't like the use of that. So let's just go, it's a sign, total plus, right? Same thing. Total plus sales history, chunk, dot, we have gets here. Yeah, Right, yeah, get value times get quantity, that's it. Get value times, that's too bad we have to go to another line, but I will. Sales. This should all be on one line when you do it on your paper. Dot get quantity. And I think that's it. Okay, let's just go back up one more time. We got time for this. Right, it's calculating the sales of a particular salesperson. Like we're in a particular salesperson. And so, right, we just take the sales array history and array, and we multiply each of, we just do what we did. Value times the quantity for each one. And add them to the total, return the total. Don't want to make too much of that. So here we go. Let's just, maybe I'll just quickly take a look at the answer key to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Total, count, I use count. Sales history, and I say count's better. Okay. That's it. So, back we go. Okay. Salespeople array consists of 100 instantiated objects. Well, that's interesting because up here it's 6. Whatever. Okay, from this point on anyway, 100 objects. The company wishes to reward the salesperson whose sales have the largest total value. Okay. By making use of any previously written methods, construct the method highest that returns the ID. That's okay. Take note of that. We're not returning the value. We're returning the ID of the salesperson whose sales have the largest total value. Well, I mean, generally, this is going to be looking through an array and looking for the highest. And we just did total sales, right? So using, and this is the point where what I'm about to say next is more important than the actual code, or certainly as important. That, as we saw before in the other paper, quite often they're going to want you to use the previous methods, and you don't reinvent the wheel, right? You have to. That's part of the answer, is to use what you just did. So there's no need to be calculating each individual salesperson's stuff anymore because this does it, right? So I guess we're going to loop through. That's the next thing, though, that bothers me about this, is that highest, where am I supposed to do this? It doesn't tell me. And I'm thinking to myself, do I do highest? Well, I guess it has to be here. It can't be a sale, and it can't be a particular salesperson. So I would have liked them to have told me that we're making this in the main, because we are. But anyway, they didn't, so fair enough. We have to make it here. This is where we have our array. We have to make it here. Okay, fair enough. I think I'm just ready to start in then, because I'm going to loop through and look for the highest. So let's just, all right, and now we got to do everything including the header. So public returns ID. ID is a string. Public, don't have to worry about static. Public static void. The name of the method is highest. Does it take in anything? No, doesn't have to, assuming that we're making it here in the main. Again, I've got to return, so I'm going to try to remember by doing this now. Returning highest ID, so let's just go highest ID, which we'll make as a string right up to the top. First thing, so returns the ID of the salesperson. Okay, so string highest ID. starts at, never a bad idea, even here in case somehow the program doesn't get into the loop, and at least, you know, when you're debugging this, you'll see that you didn't get into it. So, okay, we know we're going to use this, and we know we're going to loop through this. So here we go. But we're comparing, I mean, I know this from having done it so many times, but it's not just the highest ID that we need to keep track of. In the comparisons that are going to follow, we're going to need to keep track of the double highest total sales. So I'll even do this before. Sometimes I forget to do this and I need to come back, but I remembered it this time. So we're going to need to keep track of the highest sales, and we'll assume them to be 0 to begin with. And now we're going to loop through for int I sign 0. Again, have my zeros. I is less than, we can't use count now because we're in the main, apparently. So sales people dot length. Okay, I++, regular loop. You're going to get a point, you know, even for your, boy, oh boy, I'm having trouble with that top row, even with your for loop structure. So what are we doing? We're seeing, we've done this before, something like this, the if, a couple times in fact, or a few, if sales people chunk I dot calc total sales, right? Because calc total sales returns the value, so we can just call it calc total sales returns back a number, and if that number is greater than, make it easy on myself here. Oh, jeez, I didn't know. Oh. Then this, what's that mean? That means that the highest sales to date are this. It's that number. Right? Oh, it doesn't fit. I can't believe it doesn't fit. Glory me. Let me just lower this a little bit. I think you can still see that. And also, it's the ID that they want us to return. So we need to set this highest ID to be what? To be where we're at. Dot get ID. I'm pretty sure that's all it was. We should get ID. Okay. That's, and every time going through the loop, every time we come up with a, I don't know what happened to the color there. Oh, I know what it is. My flux has gone into movie mode at 6 o'clock, so, or it has not gone into movie mode. Yeah, I don't know if that recorded or not, but yeah, sorry. That every time as we go through this array, when we get one that's bigger than the highest so far, we make it the highest so far. And by the time we get through the loop, we're, you know, we got it. We know what is the highest, and we don't return the highest value. We return the ID. That's one of the harder questions from this one, and I think I got it. So let's see what we have here. I really wish that this wouldn't do this. Anyway, we're almost done. This is the standard level part. So total index. Oh, I did this differently. Let's just compare how I did it here quickly. Here I have a highest index. Here I have an index. Same idea, right? I'm just keeping track of the index I, right? As I go through, when I find a bigger total, why'd they call it total? Shoot, that's just a dumb, is this my answer key? It's too bad. Yeah, the total is just a dumb name. Don't call it total, call it highest. Sorry about that one, but anyway, highest, and then I'm keeping track of the index rather than the actual ID. So here I have to get the ID when I'm returning, using the index, because I have to return a string, not a number. Either way will work. This way I'm working with a string all the way through. This way I'm working with a number and returning it. Okay, so okay, and then I think, where does this end? I think this ends for standard level at I. So we have 3 more parts and we're still doing okay with the time. In fact, really okay with the time. So all this humming and hawing that I'm doing is fine, right? Take your time with this. G, construct the method add sales to the main method. So here is telling us, right? This is what I would have liked before. It's telling us to add it to the main, right? Why didn't you tell us that up here? Anyway, add this method add sales to the main that adds a new sales object to the salesperson with a specified ID. You can assume the ID is a valid one, so you don't have to do a check. Okay, gotta get my head around this one. Add sales to a particular, so I'm up in here, let's look at this. Add sales to a particular person in the array. In the array? Well, I guess that's what we can do. We have the array. And we're going to know the ID. So we'll do a search for a particular element in the array of a particular ID, and then we'll set or add, however, how do we do that? How do we add set sales history? Set sales history. Set sales history gives a new, right? It just adds on to the sale array of the salesperson. Okay. Okay. So it's like a find for an ID and then a set of the S. Okay, I think we can do it. So let's just collapse that. Maybe it'll fix the gray showing. So construct the method public. Is it returning something? No. Void. Probably get a point for that. Add sales. Sales. Again, I wish they hadn't pluralized that. Sale. We're adding a sale. Okay. All right. And it's void, so I don't need to worry about the return part. I need to find through the ID something from the salespeople array. So I'm going to loop through the salespeople array. Get a point for that probably. What are we going to do? Basically, we got to find the person. So if chunk, it's through the ID, right? Get ID dot equals. Can you get a point for doing this right? Probably equals ID as sent in. So then what do? We add the sales. So we go same person. That same person, we're gonna, again, what was it called? To add a sales, object. Using stuff that was already done, set sales history. Set sales history. What does it take? It takes in an S. And then it does the business. It does what's supposed to be done, right? The count goes up. So that seemed kind of easy compared to the last couple. Am I missing anything? Well, let's just look one last time. 4 marks, so 5 or 6 minutes. I haven't taken that much. So one last time. Sales. In class. I think that's it. Oh, geez. What are we, 17? Can't do anything about this gray, so just leave it. So, ID equals ID, sales history at break. Ooh, I'd like, and I mentioned about break here, don't I? Okay, so I would like you to, I'm going to close this and open up recent, see if it opens. Does it open up better? Yes. Yeah, break. Let me add that. The way that I've got it now is when we found it, it continues to go through to the end of the sales array. So it's not a big deal, but if you do find it, right, you can, for what it's worth, and this, I probably got this from the marking scheme, that's why I put it there, you put in a break. Because you're finished. You're not returning anything, so you can't put a return. But you could have 100, and maybe you find the salesperson is the second or third, so you don't need to go through the rest. Right? They're going to have, there's only one of them. So yeah, break, for what it's worth, it's used in answer keys or mark schemes, so you can use break. Just stops something, usually within an if, usually within a for, in fact, when you find something that you don't need to look anymore. So that's the perfect answer. A couple more for the standard level, and then we'll take a break with the video. And right, gotta read this first, can't just skip to this. A further class in this suite of programs is the payroll class. That makes sense because way back at the beginning, remember we was talking about payroll for the different employees and stuff. This class is run at the end of each month to calculate each salesperson's salary, which is based on the sales that have been made during that month. Suggest changes that must be made to the salesperson class and or the sales class. So this is one of those, don't code it, just suggest changes that must be made to the salesperson class and or the sales class to allow the calculation to be made. And I guess I'm faking it a little bit at this point, kind of reading it through and kind of whispering and trying to think. Because when I went through this earlier, and I did do this one specifically, I couldn't get it. And I looked at the answer key and I got it wrong. So let me just, you can pause it now or just take 30 seconds. What do you think? What is the one thing that would have to change? Read through that question carefully. Apparently I must not have when I did it before. Yeah, the one thing that's mentioned here is it's not just a calculation of the person's salary, but it's also, because we can do that, right? We know how many sales they've got. And so we say if the sales are above a certain amount, and you could mention that, sales are above a certain amount, then we give a certain salary if they're above another, or maybe it's a percentage. Maybe they get 10% of the sales, right? Well, that's not a 3-mark question. The change is, okay, I'll just jump to it, is the fact that they're asking about per month. We don't know when the sales are being made. There's no date. There's just this ID and volume quote. We don't know per month. So the changes, and then we can look at the answer here. The changes to both classes, or at least one of the classes, has to be taking into account the date of the sale. And actually, a sales class is one that's like most likely candidate that we should add a date. Where is it again? Last time looking at this, probably. Look at add a date. Add a date object or just a date attribute as a string to the sales class so that we can calculate per month sales. Did I open it up again? I think I did, didn't I? Yeah. So again, just bear with me. So you can pause here and read through this if you'd like. Finally, for the standard level, more than halfway through for everybody, we've got polymorphism. And that's something else that we probably saw right off the bat, that there was an overloaded constructor, and that's it. Discuss the use of polymorphism that occurs in this suite of programs. So now I'm going to think to myself, was the overloaded constructor the only thing? Nothing here. No polymorphism there. No two largest sales or two. It just the constructor. Salesperson here. Salesperson here. Takes in 1, takes in 3. So what are we supposed to talk about? Discuss. Discuss the use of polymorphism that occurs. You need to show that you don't understand what polymorphism is. Polymorphism is when one method can be used in different ways. And usually this is accomplished, I'll just give you the answer. Usually this is accomplished by having different signatures in that the parameter list is different. In this program, we have a specific example of polymorphism, comma, overloaded constructors. One constructor takes in one parameter, a string, and the other constructor for the whatever class salesperson takes in 3 parameters. All right. C'est ça, fini, complet, no plus. And come on back if you're higher level for the part 2 of this paper.